Hello everybody, it's me, Farham. We're here with some Path of Exile 2, and today we're going to be going over the Stormweaver build with the double shock magnitude at 100%. This thing is killing bosses super quick, it's capable of tier 4 sims, you can make it go through maps really fast because you can stick Temporalis on it, and it's capable of holding quite a lot of rarity as well. This build can be done on a bit of a budget. Spark Stormweaver's kind of expensive, but we'll talk about where you can potentially save some divines and what doing that budget would actually mean to the build and what it's capable of. But first things first, let's go over how to actually make this build, and we're going to start off with the passive tree. The build is currently sitting at level 94. I would say these 4 points here are optional, although I found that shocking bosses and shocking in tier 4 sims is a lot better if you do have these two nodes here, so would recommend getting it up to 94. But looking at the ascendancy, we are Stormweaver. We've got Scouring Winds to increase our exposure. We've got Strike Twice, so we can have double our shocks, double the number of shocks. So rather than 100% extra damage, we've got 200% extra damage because we're also maxing out shock magnitude. We've got extra mana with always having Arcane Surge, then more mana and increased effect of Arcane Surge per 15 max mana, and we are pumping the shit out of our mana. 8,500. We're also an Archmage build. Looking at how we've actually got the tree set up, we come out and we just take attribute nodes. We come in and grab Raw Power and Open Mind. That's for intelligence, spell damage, and mana regen. Mana regen is pretty good. If we just have a quick look at our stats, we've got sitting in hideout, we've got 1,250 mana recovery per second. Sitting on 8,500 mana. This is in the boss killing gear. The mapping gear is wear Temporalis, or can't afford Temporalis, then just wear a chest that we're wearing now for mapping and run around. It's fine. We keep coming up. We keep grabbing intelligence and path storms. Basically, you need enough stats to wear Warrior Invictus, which is 51 all stats. Everything else should be going into intelligence. As you go through your attributes, come down and grab Mana Blessing for the 5% extra mana. Come around, we grab Alternating Current. This is for the magnitude of shock. These are all magnitude of shock nodes. There's actually 50% right here. Come down and grab the 45% increased chance to shock, but as I've said, these 4 nodes are kind of your optional if you want to fit this in for level 94. And we keep coming up around here. We come up and grab this jewel socket, which has got a mana on kill jewel on it. That's 1 mana on kill jewel is enough. Grab Eldritch Battery to turn all our energy shield into mana. Arcane Intensity to give us spell damage per 100 mana. We're sitting on 8,500 mana. That's a lot of spell damage. More mana, but more mana cost of skills. We're picking up Branching Bolts, Lightning Quick, and Drenched. We're actually picking up Lightning Quick, Drenched using a controlled metamorphosis. This is a massive ring one in this slot here. This also grabs us Pure Power and Eldritch Will. Come down and grab another jewel, sorry. This is where we're going into Sapphires. You want to get Sapphires with Magnitude of Ailments and Magnitude of Shock. You can get both of those on Sapphires or Emeralds. You want to be picking up some with around the 30% mark. You want to be looking to get 400% magnitude of shock. That'll give you absolute capped out shock. There's no point in getting any more than 400%. So as you will go through, you'll see more and more of these jewels that have magnitude of ailments, magnitude of shock. More of them. We grab preservation. We grab ingenuity. We path all the way up to power conduction. Again, this is for the magnitude of shock and the increased shock chance, which we need. This, as I said, is our controlled metamorphosis. Pure Power, Lightning Quick, Drenched, and Eldritch Will. We keep pathing down to this jewel here, more magnitude of shock, and we grab Mind Over Matter. We've also we path to Mind Over Matter. We've also got a From Nothing on the Mind Over Matter. This is allowing us to grab all natural, Breaking Point, and Touch of the Arcane without having to path to them. It saves us quite a few points. 3 points there, 4 points here, 7 points saved with this From Nothing. As we come down from this Sapphire, we're grabbing CI. CI build. I like being CI. Invocated Efficiency. This is to give our triggered spells even more damage. This is our boss killing ability is a triggered spell. Come down, grab this jewel socket. Said From Nothing. From Nothing giving us the free allocation around Mind Over Matter without pathing. Interesting thing to note about both of these jewels, by the way. If you take attribute nodes within these rings, they don't do anything. We do not get the 10 intellect from these, and if you did this pathing to go up here, instead of, say, through here, you don't get the intellect from those 3 nodes either. Just It's a little bug. Anyway, we grab Dynamism. This gives us more damage if we triggered a skill. We normally take a couple of bolts to kill the boss, so the second one hits harder. It also helps us increase energy with increased energy gain. We're pathing down to Wildstorm. It'd be pretty good if you could get this on a Megalomaniac. Yeah, Megalomaniac. Probably I forgot the name of that. That would save you quite a few points here. 4 points, giving you some more flexibility. But anyway, pathing up to Wildstorm is pretty good. Keep coming down and grabbing more Jewel Sockets, more Sapphires with Ailments and Shock. Keep coming down, another Jewel Socket, more Ailments, more Shock. And then manually pathing over to Frazzled. This gives us another 75% magnitude of shock, taking all of these path nodes. Between that, the Sapphires, these nodes up here for magnitude, this magnitude node here, and Overcharged, we actually have 404% increased magnitude of shock when we're hitting with Spark, giving us that juicy, capped out, double plus 100 shock magnitude. Meaning we did a lot of damage without having to do crits. So we've gone full into shock magnitude, full into intelligence, scaling off of that intelligence, scaling off of the mana that the intelligence is giving us with arcane intensity, archmage, pure power, which is giving us our base damage. Let's take a quick look at how we've got the skills set up, what we're doing to capitalize on this tree. I suppose one more thing on the tree. We've also got lightning rod. This is anointed from our neck. Wouldn't recommend taking this if you're going for a crit build, because it only affects non-crits. If you've got a crit build, don't take it. But if you're going for a non-crit build, it just averages you out hitting that higher damage more often. As what Lucky does is it will roll the damage. It will roll what the spark does, and then it will take the best roll. So if it rolls... Well, let's have a look at its damage variance, right? So its damage variance is 2,000 to 45,000. So if it rolled the 2,000 and it rolled the 45,000, it would take the 45,000. It does that every time it hits. So Lucky is really good for the non-crit build here. So into these skills then. So we've got a weapon switch for Sigil of Power. This is really recommended. You can use this to set up on nearly all bosses. You can use this in tier 4 sims to set up for the start of waves. It's not too hard to put down. Puts down a big area. You stand in it. It gives you 60% more spell damage. Keyword there being more. This is not like getting spell damage on a wand. This is not like getting spell damage on another piece of gear. This is that keyword here, more. It's multiplicative on top of everything else. And I can demonstrate that for you quickly here. So if we pop down one of these Sigils of Power, we start casting some spells. We were 45,000 on that spark. We are now up to a full Sigil of Power. And up to 70,000. So you can see that is a 60% increase. We've gone from 45,000 to 70,000. 25,000 increase. That's 60%. That's what you would expect from Sigil of Power. That more is multiplicative. This is a really, really strong buff. You get this from a weapon switch. You get it from a chiming staff. Strongly recommend get one of those at level 19. In that, you want to put Magnified Effect and Ingenuity. Next up, we've got our main clearing ability. This is what you're going to be using for mapping. It's what you're going to be using to clear Breach Trash. It's what you're going to be using to... It's the button you press to kill stuff. It's Spark, right? You want to be getting this at level 2120. So you want to get a 2120 gem on this. 5 sockets. And getting this to a high level is pretty good. It scales quite well off of its skill levels. For the gems, you want to put Arcane Tempo for the cast speed. Pierce, so that the sparks exist and keep hitting things. They're, especially for single target, it's more for shocking. And for clearing, they just go 2 or 3 screens away from you. It's quite nice. You can see them just disappearing off the screen. they're pretty good. You want Pierce so that they don't hit something and stop. They keep going. You want Acceleration so that they move faster. The faster they move, the further they go. You want Inspiration because otherwise this thing costs about 700 mana a cast, and even with 8.5k mana you will not sustain. And you want Overcharge as well. This is for the 75% increased magnitude of shock. Really expensive to get all 400 from the tree. If you can afford to get all 400 from the tree and switch this for something else, Conduction, or then Conduction's probably good, and then you can drop some shock chance off the tree and other stuff. But you want Overcharge to make sure you get into that magic 400 increased shock magnet. Next up, we've got Flame Wall. This increases the damage of the shock that goes through them, as well as doing quite a bit of damage in its own right. It works as a bit of a defensive measure, especially in things like Sims as stuff walks through it. Within this, you put Fortress Spell Cascade, and Fire Mastery. Fire Mastery actually gives it a fair bit more damage. You're not using that rune anywhere else, so just chuck that in. Yeah, stand in it. The sparks get hot. They look much prettier. They do a little bit more damage. It's certainly worth throwing down. You've got the skill points for it. You've got the mana. It helps on bosses. Next up, you've got Orb of Storms. So this we're using to apply exposure mostly, as well as just, again, increase the damage of anything else. I think when projectiles pass through it, it fires a bolt every 2.15 seconds, or when you use a lightning skill near the orb, and we're putting down 2 of these, so we're casting 5 shocks. So we're getting like 12 orbs from it. It does quite a bit of damage. You can see its damage profile is about half of what Spark is. Throw down Overabundance, you can put down 2 of them at once. Lightning Exposure, because something doing exposure, or something doing, we might as well have something doing exposure. Strip Away to increase the exposure effect. Distance, so they last longer. And Font of Mana, just to help keep our mana up when we're doing boss fights. It chunks through our mana quite quick. Next up, we've got Blink. You might notice this is turned off. Quite simply, if you want to do something that involves moving fast, that's fine. You can just turn on Blink. And at the moment, we've only got 1 Blink, because we're being slow, and we haven't got a Temporalis on. But you don't only need to cast on Shock if you're doing single target stuff. So, you can run Blink. You don't need any supports on it. You can run supports on it if you're not using Temporalis. Next up, we've got Cast on Shock. So this is what you're using if you're doing single target. So any sort of boss fight, if you want to kill a map boss really quick. You can actually kill the bosses with just Spark. It's not actually a problem, but Cast on Shock set up like this. But, well, you'll see it in the showcase. Basically one-shot stuff. So you want to Cast on Shock. Higher level, better. This one's a level 19. It's fine. You can run it at level 21, 20. That's fine. In it, you want Lightning Conduit. You want a 2120 Lightning Conduit for the maximum damage it can do. Now, interestingly, can't boost this with very many skill gems. So put in Impetus, Elemental Focus boosts it, put in Energy Retention, so if you do have to double fire it on a boss, it fires a bit faster sometimes, and put in Control of Destruction. These are the only 2 support skill gems that I could find that made this damage number here go up. See, the average damage per use is 73,000, but the interesting thing about Lightning Conduit is this line here. 100% more damage with hits per 5% shock on the enemy. Now, I've spoken a couple of times about hitting that 400% magic magnitude number. We get 200% shock effect on the enemy. It's 40 times more damage. And then they're exposed. And there's shock on the enemy. So it then does 40 times more damage, and then 3 times more damage, and then they're exposed, so it does another 0.62 of that again. You can see these numbers start to get very, very big very, very quickly just from the shock and the exposure without necessarily needing to stack up loads of crit. But yeah, that boss killing ability is Lightning Conduit. You switch between Lightning Conduit or Shock based on what content you're doing. Similarly, you would maybe switch your chest as well. Next up, we've got our other all-the-time aura. We are running Archmage. You want this running 2120, so you get 9% increased damage. 9% of damage as extra lightning for each 100 maximum mana. Again, we're running 8,500 mana. That's a lot of extra damage from Archmage. If we turn it off, you will see we go from 19,000 spark to a 129,000 spark. So Archmage, pretty integral part of the build. Lightning Mastery at this point actually doesn't give us any damage boost. So if you were comfortable and you could get your shock maxed out without having to use Overcharge, which is possible with perfectly rolled gems and a slight adjustment to the tree, and what you could do, probably what would be the best rune to run in here would actually be the +1 there in Spark for the 144,000 damage. I think that would probably be best at this point. But I need that extra magnitude, so magnitude's going in there. Magic number, find that 400, adjust things as you need between the jewels on your tree and whether you need Overcharge or not. Finally, we're running Conductivity. You put this down, the bosses stand in it, it removes their resistances, and then the exposure does even more and dies. 2020 gems fine, 2120 would be better. Back to 21. A 2023 would probably be the best on conductivity, to be honest. If you get a 2023, that would be the best gem. You want to run that with Curse Ground, Expanse, Heightened Curse, and Ritualistic Curse. So when you put it down, it just lasts for ages. A typical setup for doing a boss kill would look something like this. We're going to do a proper showcase. You would chuck down the ground, you would throw out the curse, you would throw down your flame walls, you would put out your 2 balls, get your 2 balls out, and then you would just start blasting away with shock. And then when the boss spawns, it just dies. Let's take a quick look at the gear that's setting this up. And then let's get into some showcases. So gear then, and this is where I suppose it gets a bit silly. But we're going to talk about where we can bring in the budget and where we can save divines. The showcase is going to be done with the silly gear. I'll talk about what numbers I started to find the content comfortable. And that really was, it's all around the mana. It was, well, the mana and the shock magnitude. It was around having about 325% shock magnitude, so about 92% shock on the enemies. And around the 7k mana mark, all content started to become reasonably viable. Tier 4 Sims was a bit sweaty, but that's just because there's certain things in there that can one-shot you if you press certain buttons at the wrong time. So we'll keep that in mind. I'll talk about where we could save divines, where we maybe don't need to spend as much and can still get to that number. So first off, let's go through. You want a wand that looks something like this. You want mana's really, really important on this, but I was originally running with something with around 68 mana. You want the +5 level of all lightning skills. You could definitely drop that intelligence. Chance to shock ends up being quite cheap on the wand, and because of that, you can actually change the skill tree around a bit if you get some cast of shock on the wand, so you can look to balance things a bit there. Get a cheaper one there. This one's quite expensive. On the rings, you're going to want mana with resistances on one of the rings. On the other, in fact, you basically want 2 rings like this, or you can run a Dream Fragments. It's cheaper to run 2 rings like this, and it'll be fine. The 258 flat mana ends up being quite a lot once everything gets calculated on. I mean, the Dream Fragments is increasing about 250, but that's about a 750 mana ring. Dream Fragments is about a 2000 mana ring, so Dream Fragments is really good, but you can get away with running 2 of those Breach Rings. On the helmet, again, look for your resistances, look for max mana. Energy Shield is also getting converted to mana, so as much Energy Shield as you can, as much mana, intelligence if you can, and resistances. On your amulet, this is a key piece. You need to get 60 spirit. There's probably another way you can do it with the tree, doing it against the darkness with 12 spirit and doing a load of jiggery pokery around here and grabbing other weird nodes around here. I recommend trying to get a solar amulet with +50 spirit on it, or +45 and a Maxroll on itself, you know, +60 spirit from solar amulet. If you can get mana on it, great. If you can get cast speed on it, great. If you can get projectile skills on it, then you've probably got a mirror to drop on your amulet. This is a pretty budget amulet for the build. Might have to get something. It might have to get something worse than that. Might not be able to get the mana roll on it because they're just seem kind of rare. But 60 spirit is integral. This is the best way to get it. For your chest, you want to get Moria Invictus for single target. If you don't care about blinking around maps, then Moria Invictus for all the time is fine. 5-socket one that does attributes and max mana, which is best for this build. There are about 32 divines, but a 4-socket one that's already corrupted goes up for about 8 or 9. They're not expensive. It's going to give you a lot of mana. Get 5-socket one, that's perfect. On your gloves, you want to be getting... need to be getting some dexterity from somewhere, and you do need about 33 of it. But I think you need 31 exactly. I recommend getting... You need a tier 1 dex roll somewhere. I recommend getting it on the gloves. If you can get something that looks like that, that's really good. But might have to get something with lower energy shield. More energy shield and more mana converts... Energy shield again converts to more mana. This is a really quite a high roll. But something that looks like that, right? You just want more mana. You want to make sure your resistances are capped. On your ingenuity, just any ingenuity above 70% is fine. If you need one that gives you more resistances, then get one that gives you more resistances. For your boots, bit of movement speed's fine. You don't need to go all the way up to 35% because you're going to have blink. Especially if you're using a Temporalis. Resistances, if you need them. The place you can get them is boots. And on your focus, you want to make sure you got mana, all spell skills, any resistances you need, and as high energy shield as you can. Then on your weapon switch, it doesn't matter, just needs to have that level 19 sigil of power. If you want to do mapping, you can put on a Temporalis. You can see we drop quite a bit of mana. But then we can... We need to blink around, zip around, get places, cast sparks, zip around some more. You know, it can do all the things. So that's the gear, that's the gear switch, that's the skill switch, depending on whether you want to move fast or kill fast. Let's go showcase this thing in a couple of places. We'll do a Breachstone so that we can bully Zesh it. We'll do Arbiter so that we can bully Arbiter and see how it deals with that fight, because that fight's got some damage reductions on it. And then we'll take it somewhere where speed will be nice, like a map. And we'll zip around doing some map stuff. And we'll take it to a tier 4 Sims as well. Level 82 Zesh it then. This has got the clear and the boss kill all in 1A. The slow boy clear though. This is what it's like to just run around and cast shark. Cast shark? Cast shark. Sharknadoes. Sharknadoes inbound, guys. It's Sharknado time. Look at all those Sharknadoes. I mean Sparknadoes. You know what I meant. It's just words. Twisted up words. Formed into sentences. Half-baked. Just like these crispy minions. But you can see the sparks, like, it's... If the first spark doesn't get you, then the second one certainly will. When you've got a million shock on you. It's like a bit of a 2-tap build. You see, you can just sort of fill up a zone with sparks. I'm going to keep calling them sharks for the rest of the video. Don't know why I'm going to call them sharks. Don't know why that's got stuck into my brain. Sharks. People live near the sea. Phosphorus. Yeah, the general playstyle for mapping as well, and we will do a map with the Temporalis on because it's funny, is just cast spark and everything dies. And if you... The only time you get into trouble is if you blink too far ahead of what you've fired sparks. You just end up in a pack of monsters that freeze you or something. And then sometimes they can beat you up. But you've got the Melting Maelstrom, which can fully heal you, basically, right? If you've got 1,000 mana left, that's giving you 7,500 mana back. Whatever your mana pool is, it's frankly ridiculous. I feel like we might run out of time. Why is this being all rubbish with the amount of time it's giving us? I mean, it might be okay, but down to 10 seconds, it's a bit tight. I backloaded the rares there. It was the old heebie-jeebies. Look at all this loot. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, Chance Shard. Let's go, Chance Shard. Huge gains. So then, what you could do here for maximum gains is you could flick between blink so you get up here a bit faster, but I'm lazy. So when he says we are in Nightmare, I like to put down this, and a bit of this, then a bit of this, and a couple of these, get the balls out, and then... Ooh. Decided to go for the 2-tap today. But yeah. Depending on how high the damage roll is, it will either 1 or 2-tap him. It's about a 50-50. It seemed slightly more consistent on the 2-tapping with Endless Circuit. I think because one of the shocks gets consumed on the first tap, and then if a spark doesn't hit him immediately, then he's not really... Yeah, anyway. Sometimes at 1 taps, sometimes at 2 taps. The bosses never do anything. Let's go and show it off against a harder boss. Right, we'll start this one at the door. Putting in the magical blocks. Magical, mystical blocks of boss mode. Oh, look, they actually go into... I've never actually bothered looking at that before. That's kind of cool, that the little cubes slot in. Forming the strongest shape. And we come down, we see Arbiter Titty doing his little magic ritual. Oh, what's the 4th edict? The 4th edict will rise again! Will it? Will it? Well, I've heard that before. What we call 4th edict enjoyers back in Brooklyn.
You are too late.
We'll pop a bit of this down. Bit of this, 2 of these, and then start sparking. And he takes a little bit more, because... it's Arbiter time. but it's okay. We'll just put down another one of these. Another couple of these. Get some more of these out. He's done. Oh, we got some grand manchets. Love a manchet. Oh, look at those manchets. They're incredible. Leave them right on the floor for the next person that comes along. You know, you're going to take it, you're going to leave it for the next person. Like Bonnie Blue, we'll just leave it on the floor where it deserves to be. Am I allowed to say that? Go with it. Alright, on to the next showcase. Sims. Let's get on with a tier 4 simulacrum. We'll do the thing in full so that you guys can see it working and how it works through Sims. Because you have to cast skills and stuff, it's not just hold down shock. Well, it's hold down shock for a while. Then you have to do other things. Any minute now, game. Come on. Not accurate monsters. Whatever will we do? You can wear 2 mana on kill gems for this. I'm still wearing 1 at the moment. Wearing 2 is probably a better idea, to be honest. You can see the shock sort of just deals with everything. I'd recommend trying to keep up Sigil of Power. There you go. Didn't see an enemy for the first wave. Oh, they've got 50% resistances this time. You see a rage monster actually managed to jump through the air there. Make sure you keep an eye on your mana bar. Mana topped up. I'm going to turn off a graphics feature in just a second. So let's actually swap out to another mana on kill gem. I've got one knocking around. It's just here. Take off one of our shock gems. I think we've got a lame one somewhere. A lame-ish one, like a 30% or something. Give us a strength. That one. Click on another mana on kill. So that takes us down to 370% shock chance, which is going to be fine for Sims. I think I want to see if their health feels a bit better. Oh yeah, look at that. Bouncing up quite a bit faster. So yeah, for Sims, probably run an extra 2% mana on kill. Oh no, that one had extra chunk to him. No blink needed, of course. Just as much mana as you can stuff in. Mana suckers are particularly scary, but if you see one, just get ready to... They will either run at you, don't be scared and run away. Just get ready to tap your mana potion. They are the scariest thing that happen in Sims. And if they don't run at you, just make sure you're not standing on the ring. They will do one of those 2 things. Oh, they'll stand there throwing shit at you, because they're the ranged ones, or they'll jump at you or something. Yes, she-babe. Yes, that's right. Very jumpy, aren't they? Let's get that all nicely deleted. Yeah, no Temporalis needed for any of the endgame content. No Temporalis needed for mapping either, but we will do the map with Temporalis. To show the silliness of Blink. Oh no, lightning resistant. You will sometimes get lightning resistant mobs. They're a bit scary. Just put down something. Conduction helps. If you keep up rotating those spells and don't let them all fall off like I'm doing, There's a lot less scary moments. There we go. So this time we kept everything up, and you see everything's just continuing to die. The scariest bit is recasting Sigil of Power, but it's so much extra damage, you do kind of need to do it. Sims is no joke. We are, of course, using a stun charm. You can see that we are occasionally getting jumped towards. Get your balls out. Make sure you keep your balls up and out. Maximum balling. Have to recast. Do it now. Your ball. And okay. There's not one in here, isn't there? Your man's forgotten how to run Sims. Embarrassing. You can precast some of this stuff, so it's not quite so scary. Which we probably will do as we go into the later waves. And trying to stand this. The flame wall keeps you kind of safe as well. And like, if anything comes close, it gets hit by the curse, it gets resistance is stripped off, and it dies pretty quick. I think I felt more comfortable with the monk. Think. Balls out. Oh, God. The power's fallen off. Cat modifier is strong. Elemental resistance aura was up. So one thing that can be nice for Sims, and what I would probably recommend spending a few skill points on if you've got some more levels, we grab down to here, get electric amplification. The penetrate lightning resistance is quite nice for Sims. Certain waves, certain modifiers are just a bit scary, especially if they catch you with your when your sigil's just fallen off. I think sometimes it's about taking that moment you get to apply it when you see it. The bosses should just get insta-popped. Pretty much every time. If they don't, though, it can be scary. Yes, it can, can't it, Shoebabe? Balls out. Get the ring out. Get the cat modifier on. Get flicked in the head with the tail. Wait for that moment now. Get balls back out. This could be spawning. This spawns. Balls and Flame Wall, I think, do a considerable amount of damage. You don't want to let them drop off. You ring out. Fucking balls to chip. Balls, balls. We're all good. When things drop off, though, and your damage starts to go down a little bit, it's not nice. We're relying on that 2 hit, because we're relying on that shock from the first hit for the big second hit. Well, I think a crit spark build would probably feel... Two bosses on this one. Should be up when they spawn. The hard waves now. Yep. Good. Boss is if Omniphobia stays up for too long, he can one-shot you. Kind of scary. That's just not to get hit. Down. Good. There you go. It's to shine bright like a diamond. Nice. Volatile grenades and sigil of ice. Amazing. Wow. Wow. Any ice grenade builds? Ice grenade builds a thing, maybe? Anyway, that's how it does tier 4 Sims. It's fine. You just stand there and go through the rotation. Let's jump into a map with Temporalis and go fast. So we'll go into a sandspit, guys. Sandspit? Sandspit. Sandspit. Pick one. Let me know in the comments. But you can see this particular area, it's got 2 things here. It's also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things here. And 6 things on the map here. So if you put that all together, we've got actually 15 things on this map. So very real risk of death. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna see how fast we can move around this map. And just show off the Temporalis before I give it back. Drop out. Thank you. For lending me this for this showcase. This is funny. So Temporalis obviously lets you do this, but we also do this. So we teleport in, press our button, we go here, we press this, we press some more buttons. Should be over soon. Go off again. Press some more buttons. See your breach, you grab that. Press buttons. This will turn everything into loot. Press the make loot button, which is your spark button. This just makes loot. You get bored of this side of the breach, you can just go over to the other side, make some more loot over there. Make a bit more loot. There's probably some loot in the middle here. You get bored again, you can go back over, make some more loot over this side. I think probably you might be able to dash through. I know we can't really. It's annoying. So we'll just dash back round, it's fine. I'll let more enemies, but that's okay. We landed up in the middle of them, but we press the make loot button. We make some more loot. We open up this altar. Hold down our make loot button. Over here. Over here. Obviously, you do need to pick up the loot, but we're not going to do that on this video. We'll do that. We'll do that off stream. I'll go mining for diamonds off stream. That'll be fine. See what loot the altar's got for us. Nothing. Nothing. A divine, a divine.
Divine.
Divine. Bust this guy out of his shell. Aventors, Aventors. What if it's an amazing one? And the minimap tells us where the last rare is. Tells us we've missed a rare. We don't know exactly where, but we'll go back and find it. That's the joy of... Temporalis. There's... And there we go. Map complete. So, that's Temporalis. Obviously, you could run around the map normally just casting Spark and using Blink. You just can't cast it that often without Temporalis, but you can still use it like every couple of seconds or something. It's fine. So, yeah, really good mapper. Really good at everything. It's really, really, really strong build. The only thing I would suggest is swapping... Take 4% mana jewels if you're doing similar, 4% mana on kill if you're doing sims. Otherwise, just up as much shock magnitude as you can. And in fact, if you can get the shock magnitude and 4% mana on kill, that would be perfect. But I hope you've enjoyed this build showcase, guys. And yeah, hope to catch you in the next video or on a live stream. I'm live all the time. Hope to catch you there. Have a good one.